Welcome to the Dr. Erin Show. May you live your truth. Good morning. I hope this finds you waking up to a beautiful day. Maybe you're having some tea or some coffee, or I'm not sure if you listen to this in your car in traffic or in the afternoon during your siesta, or maybe you like to hear it at night to get your mind right before you go to sleep. I get messages and people reaching out telling me different things, and I'm always wondering what time of the day are they listening to these things, because we all have our time to do our daily spiritual practice. I am an evening person when it comes to that. I do it sometimes in the morning, throughout the day, but my favorite time to get my mind right and meditate and do everything is actually before I go to sleep. I know that most yogis get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do their work then, but it's not my style. Everyone has their unique style. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about the power of prayer. And I think it's a fascinating thing. I'd like to begin with a quote by Ernest Holmes. It says, treatment, because we're going to talk about affirmative prayer, which is also called treatment because it's treating. It's like the mental healing of our world, of the New Thought movement. It was really the time in history where people began to realize that there was a power in the mind that actually could shift and affect the physical body. And so we call it treatment. And treatment is the art, the act, and the science of consciously inducing thought within universal subjectivity, for the purpose of demonstrating that we are surrounded by a creative medium, which responds to us through a law of correspondence. And in this, it has more meaning. We treat for time, the process, and method measure in changing our thought. So the point is, as Ernest Holmes says, is that we have power. There's a power for good in the universe, and we get to use it. And as James Moon says, because we are it. And yes. So, I remember as a little girl, there was actual moment where my mother and father got divorced. And it was like, I was really young. It was before I could even remember 2 years old. But I remember seeing a movie one time about a little girl who was praying. And she was actually sitting down like on her knees by the side of her bed. And she placed her hands together in a prayer position. And I remember going home and doing that same thing because I was so sad. I thought something's wrong with this life. My mother and father are divorced, and for some reason it had really imprinted and embedded me through seeing movies where families were together that I thought something's majorly wrong. And so I went home and I immediately went to my room and I did the exact same thing. And I said, God, please make my mommy and daddy get back together. And it never happened. And so from that point on, I decided there must not be a God. Or I thought something must be wrong with me that would make God not want to answer my prayer. And so, I think that most people believe that prayer is asking for something, a new circumstance to arrive, a material object, or, something in a relationship to shift, better body, whatever it may be. The prayer is asking for something. And, it wasn't until I really began to dive into consciousness, and it wasn't until, mid-20s or something like that, where I started even having the perspective at all that prayer was really actually not to a man in the sky, some God in the sky. It was actually within myself of expanding my own consciousness and shifting and releasing a limiting belief and allowing the truth to prevail within. And it came through the place where I believe science and spirituality come together in one form, which is the New Thought affirmative prayer. And I love affirmative prayer. It's something I use all the time, something I use daily. And it's actually what I consider the biggest link to understand how the subconscious mind works. So I really believe that it's where science meets spirituality, in my opinion, or maybe religion, in that opinion. So if you were to sum up what is prayer, you could say this one line, I believe. Prayer is the movement of energy upon universal law for a specific demonstration. So what is affirmative prayer? This is the most powerful thing, because this is where you basically reprogram your mind, okay? It's where you are actually you're actually commanding your subconscious. So it's actually, as they say, spoken word or prayer. It's basically you're either sitting in such a state where you begin to energize the vibration, the feeling of the backing of the word, and believing it so clearly. So if you want something in life, you literally can't have it until you believe it's possible. And where does that begin? That begins in your mind. And so whether you're you're sitting down and you're praying and you're beginning to feel and know and embody that this is possible, whatever you're praying for, and really you're praying to embody that consciousness. That's really what prayer is. Or you also have the power of doing it through the spoken word of prayer and basically stating it so firmly and with such conviction of the vibration and feeling it energetically that you actually impress upon the subjective mind, which is your subconscious mind, which is linked to universal law and sets in motion a whole stream of events. And it takes practice. It's an art, truly. And so how does it work? It works through actually shifting the mind and actually vibrationally informing every cell in your body and your consciousness, and shifting and informing universal law. You are one with everything. You're not just the individual. You are the entire universe. And so there's two types of affirmative prayer. There's argumentative, and there is realization, basically where you can realize the truth and instantly in that moment heal, instantly in that moment have new innovation, instantly in that moment, let go of limiting beliefs that kind of sabotage your good. Or you can argue. I love argumentative prayer because you can actually just debate, I have struggles with myself. I'm like, that's BS, Erin. That is not the truth. That's a limiting belief, and I'll just get up and begin to do prayer and know the truth. And sure enough, you just feel totally empowered walking away. So real quick, I just want to go over, there's 5 steps in a traditional affirmative prayer. The number 1 is recognition and acknowledgement. So I just want to do a quick little example of that. So let's just do this. So let's just take a deep breath. And knowing and realizing that in this sacred moment, focusing on the breath of inhaling and exhaling, I notice the point where they come together. And in this state of presence, I experience where the finite transcends into the infinite. I recognize that there is no breath without a body to breathe. There is no oxygen to breathe without the trees that have been nourished in the sun, rain, and Mother Earth. I acknowledge that this life force touches all, interconnects every one of us in the entire universe. This life force nourishes every cell of my body. It is the spark of every thought. It is the same divine source that holds the stars in the sky and turns the night to day. It is that which connects all of life through the body, mind, and spirit, transcending life, this entire life cycle and humanness to the eternality. I recognize that there is only consciousness, spirit. This is one life force that has created every last drop of this universe. And step number 2 is really unifying with that. I really recognize that I am that. You are that. I recognize that I am one with the all, that you are one with the all, and within me is the highest consciousness, that is the same creative substance that has created mountains and the greatest inventions of our ancestors. There's no division. There is only divine. I unify myself right now. I unify you right now. And step 3 is revealing and healing. And so knowing that I declare that within me is total clarity, because the soul is never neutral. I know that within me is a passion so great that there's a gift, and within you there is a gift. You have a purpose and calling, and it is to wake up to the highest, grandest version of yourself. And I know that right now I declare and demand this truth to come forth. Step 4 is gratitude. And so I'm grateful for knowing this truth, to embody this truth, to live this truth, to love this truth, to teach this truth, to write this truth. And finally, releasing this in step number 5. Now I release my word to universal law, knowing that my word is the law, and I've set into action the correlation. I now let go. I step into grace. I take inspired action, and I know the perfection of the unfoldment, allowing my higher consciousness to flow, and it is done. And so on that note, I just know the perfection of the power of prayer. And so if you've enjoyed this talk, please like and share and comment on this. This is a much deeper conversation. We can go way, way, way more into what affirmative prayer is. But I want to give you a gist of the power of prayer. And so real quick, today's practice is to spend time in prayer today. And your challenge today is to do one random act of kindness for someone. And so you can find me across all social media as Dr. Erin. And you can also find me at erinfalhaskell.com. You can also get my free app, you guys, which has 30 guided meditations, as you know, if you've listened to any of these other podcasts. And just doing tons of interviews right now on Consciousness and Focus TV network. You can get my free app and my free talks and free lessons and 30 guided meditations all at drerin.tv. You can watch my interviews on Focus Network TV at Dr. Erin's show. And I know that today is a day to use the power of prayer. And so on that note, my greatest prayer for you is may you live your truth.